Let me know if I'm answering the question that you intended or if I'm going in a bonkers direction. I In my opinion, disclosure is just the absolute most important thing about data privacy. And I think when you're dealing with an application layer and you're displaying data back to the user that they can see that clearly you've collected about their asset. So if you're tracking asset location and you're displaying that on a map in the application that the user sees, then of course that's disclosed. They realize that you're tracking the location of that asset. Um, but I think that it gets even more important with things that aren't as transparent as that, right? Not everything can be immediately put back into the display that the user is interacting with. And so there may be areas that are a bit more opaque in terms of what data is being collected and what's being done with it. So I think that finding ways to be transparent about data collection, what it's being used for, why it's being processed is very important. I think sometimes that can be done in the application. Sometimes it has to be done through privacy policies or training, right? In a B2B context, which is a lot of the space that I'm in right now. Training can play a huge role, especially with management and employees. But even more interesting, one more layer of abstraction is the different combinations of data and what insights are derived from that, right? If you process the messages coming from an IoT sensor in a different way, it can lead to different insights, right? If you apply a time scale, right, to certain position messages and you get a track of where things have been over time. So again, I just think there's so many different levels of abstraction, and if you adjust the data processing, then that is still another moment in time to reflect and say, has something meaningfully changed about the information we're gleaning from this data? And is that something we need to incorporate into our privacy policy or into our training or into our application directly? So I think continuous reflection on those questions and incorporating it into various methods of disclosure, depending on the situation, is what's really key to me.